obviously the first fight didn't go to plan for you or for Joe, but he took the immediate rematch, and like you say, after only half an hour, which is a good sign in terms of his headspace and where he thinks he's at with this rematch.
Yeah, look, he knows and understands the importance of a fighter holding a mandatory position, which the winner of this fight will have. They would be the interim WBO interim champion, which means next year when the mandatories will be called for, so you're going to have the IBF first, and then within 6 months of that, the WBO. So whoever's got this belt is going to get a shot, which means that the loser is probably going to take 2 years, because there'll be no voluntary defences in between. So it's going to take them 2 years before they get a shot. So he knows, as does Zhilei, what they got to do, what the risk they're taking, but they know what the prize is at the end of the day. It's a huge prize.
Zhilei said in the presser that he's going to basically beat Joe into retirement. Is it that stark for Joe if he doesn't win this fight?
I don't think it's into retirement for either of them. I mean, they're quality fighters. I mean, they've done it at every level. You know, they've been magnificent amateurs, both of them winning silver medals in their respective Olympic Games in the heavyweight division. And to be honest, I thought they both got robbed in their, in their quest for gold. But they've got fabulous experience between the two of them. And I really do think we're going to see something a little bit special on Saturday. I really do.
What does he have to do differently though? Because he got it so badly wrong. Simple as that.
Move his head and speed. Speed, move your head. Get that jab moving. Speed, move your head.
They seem obviously extremely confident based on what happened in the first fight.
I mean, after the first fight, I'm sure he is. But that's, what happens in this fight is going to be determined by Joe's tactics.
So if all goes to plan, he does win, and he's the interim champion again, and you know that 6 months down the line he'll be mandatory challenger. Will he box between now and then?
That is something we'll have to think about before we make a decision. But I'm sure he'll want to remain busy. But it depends what happens with Usyk and where he's at by then.
On the subject of Usyk, obviously you appealed to the WBA officially, lodged it. Have you heard back from them? What's the latest?
Still awaiting the date of the appeal.
Oh, there'll be what will you be some sort of hearing?
There would be, yeah.
Are you confident that will have some effect? What the noises you're hearing?
Is what I watched and what I've seen on film since. It was not a low blow, and it is an absolute fact that the referee did not instruct the boxers correctly as to what a low blow was and what the target area was, as per the WBA regulations, which is above the navel. And Don Charles, which we filmed, when he was giving instructions, had to bring it to his attention of the height of Usyk's shorts.
So that you think that's enough grounds for them to do something?
And the other thing I think it was after about 2 minutes, when he gave him all that time to recover, he then said he wanted to box Usyk. He went, no, take some more time. What is that all about? It's wrong.
So what are you hoping happens in an ideal world, that they call for an immediate rematch, no contest, or just reinstatement as mandatory?
I would like, worst case, I'd like to get a rematch.
Okay. And on the subject of Usyk, sticking with that, Bob Arum came out and said that it's not out of the question that Usyk Fury could be made before the end of the year. Obviously, if Fury does the business in Saudi, is there any truth in that? Can you see that?
Let's see what happens in the fight with Ngannou first.
But is that out of the question? December seems like it come around pretty quick.
Let's get the first one out of the way first. That's the most important thing.
Do you give Ngannou? You've been in the game a long time. You saw Mayweather-McGregor. If Tyson Fury is the #1 heavyweight in the world, do you really give Ngannou a chance here?
I think he's got a puncher's chance. I look at I've never been a UFC fan, and I've obviously since then watched him a lot, and I know what he can do. And he's a very big puncher. And UFC's rough house, isn't it? I mean, it's not like the Marquis of Queensberry rules. It's a totally different discipline. And for me, I can't see him outboxing Tyson. But if he's going to win, he can do it only by roughing Tyson out. He's got to put Tyson out of his stride. He's got to jump on him, and he's got to land his bombs. That's the only way I feel he can beat him. Tyson in his last 5 fights, he hasn't been up on the jabbing and moving and that. He's been standing and trading. and I think Tyson will trade with him. So whilst it lasts, I think it's going to be exciting.
Back on this card, Anthony Yarde returns, first fight since the Beterbiev defeat. Any opponent yet? We heard it was Ricky Summers, but that's not happening anymore.
No, he's out. They're working on it now, but he will have an opponent. And
how many rounds?
10 rounds minimum.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get the rust out of his system, and I want to try and get my world title fight by the end of the year.
What's the plan for him? Because we see the WBC rankings 1 to 4 are Brits, WBO 1 to 4 Brits. It's obviously bustling just in this country. Well, I mean, what's the route for him?
For me, he's a great fight. Is the winner of Buatsi and Aziz. I'd love that.
Yeah. Next.
Well, we tried to make the Buatsi fight a few times. We couldn't get it over the line.
That fight's on Sky. Buatsi contracted to them. Would you allow, if the terms are correct, Anthony Yarde to go on Sky?
The channels show it.
Yeah. This is a fight that could happen with.
No problem with that.
Okay. No. So it all goes well on Saturday night. You want him out again before the end of the year?
Want him out? Yeah, definitely. He's got to be busy. Yeah.
Okay. Also on Saturday night, not your fighter, but a bit of a storm going on in Florida, where Conor Benn returns under the radar. Well, not under the radar anymore.
It's under the radar. It's been done. It's slippery. I mean, they didn't announce it a month ago or anything. They announced it. Was it yesterday? Yeah. 4 days before the fight. I mean, that's all slippery. That's just slippery, isn't it? Not they haven't planned it. They must have applied for a license, must have applied to do all that stuff, so they kept it very quiet. And to his credit, the Boxing Board of Control's General Secretary, Robert Smith, came out and said he has not been cleared. He has not had a hearing to answer why he's got those substances in his VADA test. There hasn't been a hearing for that. It's wrong. It's wrong.
I feel like it's a bad look for the sport, damaging from the public eye.
I mean, I'm reading some of the newspapers. I wonder, you sort of think, what planet is anyone on here? So what you're advocating? Test positive, give your licence up, go and fight somewhere else. Is that what we're going to be doing now in the sport? Is that what's happening?
If it was, your position, you've had, boxers who failed drugs tests, and you have to follow.
He failed his drug test. And we only found out through the media. They didn't even inform us. We found out through the media. And I said at the time, he'll go through the process. And if he can explain why those PEDs are in his system, great. If he's got an explanation, fantastic. If he hasn't, ban him. And they banned him. They had me screaming about it. And I like him. I like Zhilei. I love him. He's done a load of fights with him. Yeah. But if you're cheating, you're a cheat. Go and serve your ban.
Eddie Hearn said yesterday that all matchroom shows now, big or small, will be...
What's the point of having a test if you're taking someone over to another jurisdiction to fight and not have a hearing? It's pointless bullshit, and all he ever does is talk bullshit. He's kidding. He thinks he's kidding people. If you feel so passionate and you believe in what you're saying, then take your fighter, pull your fighter out of the fight on Saturday, and go before UKAD and explain why PEDs were in your system.
That's the only way in terms of Conor Benn. Yeah.
What we need, you need some of the media to step up and be saying this shit. Shouldn't be my job to do it. And that's what you guys should all be saying this.
You're saying that Conor Benn needs to have a UKAD hearing.
Yeah. He needs to have a UKAD hearing. Listen, he may pass it. I don't know. Get your B sample, put it in, and explain it. Not sending your lawyers there to say it's not your jurisdiction. Well, if it's not their jurisdiction, whose is it? No one's jurisdiction?
Well, the National Anti-Doping Panel were the ones who oversaw that. Do you feel then, just last one...
They've appealed that. That was an argument. That was an argument about who should hear it.
Right.
Not about... Not what they're saying. He's been cleared. That was what the argument was. It was nothing to do with them hearing. They'd never heard one thing about the PEDs in his system. It was an argument about who should hear it. Right. And the lawyers, good lawyers, done a good job, but that's not the answer to it, is it? That doesn't, so now you've got to the States. So the next one does it. I've got a fighter test positive. Zhilei Teti, you know what? Don't worry about that. I'll go and get you a license in Florida.
Last one, and from your position and your experience of working with UKAD, do you feel that they're equipped, maybe financially, to really deal with the might of something like Conor Benn and Matchroom, financially and from a legal point of view?
I don't think it's even that. I think it's, first of all, you cannot have money frightening people off.
Do you think it is?
I think that has been in the past a part of it. What you need is a strong boxing board of control to say, and they say it. If when you were licensed by us, you failed a test and then you give up his license, but whilst you was licensed, you are bound to go before UCAD to explain that away. You are bound to do that, or you will not be allowed to box anywhere in the world.
Frank Ron, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.